You went to Africa.
Yeah.
When did that happen, and how was that?
Africa was interesting. That was my first deployment. I had just come back from basic training. So 2019, October, I think that's when we took off. So 2019, we took off to, we mobed in Fort Bliss for about a month, and then we headed to Africa for about 9, 10 months, if I remember correctly. It had its ups and downs. To have the experience of deploying was fun. But actually, the mission itself, it was a security mission, so that's the part that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I wasn't too into it. I wanted to do some high speed shit and fuck around, but it was safe. We all came back home, so I'm satisfied with that. But the experience of having the deployment under my belt so early in my career, my military career, definitely set some stone for me. So
Yeah. And so that first section of it, I think there's two important things. Well, first of all, what was that first October portion? And then 19, which means it rolled into 20, which means that you were deployed during COVID.
During COVID.
So we'll get to that for sure, because that bonkers,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But so what was that first, because again, this is your first time deploying. This was your first experience. Was this your first time out of the country?
That was, yeah.
Like completely out of the country?
Yeah. I don't know if you count going to Mexico, but I've been to Mexico plenty of times as a kid, but actual overseas, yeah.
Yeah, so first time leaving the country, it's a deployment, and then, so what was that first month like for you?
First month out of country.
First month, like getting ready. You're saying down in Fort Bliss.
Yeah, so getting ready, moving for Fort Bliss, just prepping up, getting our gear, make sure everything's set, weapons, plates, everything, all our gear and shit. So it was okay. A month in Fort Bliss, we got to, we had our barracks down there. We had a little MWR, which is a little rec center for us. We had a DFAC, which is our cafeteria. It was cherry. There was no complaints about mobbing. And then actually flying out, we did a commercial flight, which I think was around, I think it was like 20-hour flight. Yeah, it was about a 20-hour flight, almost a whole day. That sucked. It fucking sucked, dude. It was worse coming back because we were in a C-130.
Okay.
So that one sucked even more. But yeah, mobbing, the first month was fine. I was cool with it. It was a little hot, but whatever.
What was the family prep like? Because I couldn't even, so what was that? You were married at this point.
Yes.
And you got a kid, right?
2 kids.
You have 2 kids. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So what was that like, just mentally prepping for that? I mean, emotionally or spiritually prepping for that?
So
that's a very unique experience.
Yeah, it is. It was rough being our first deployment. So by that time, I've already gone through a few ATs, which is our annual training once a year. But that's only like 2.5 weeks. It was nothing compared to 10 months. So, I spent as much time as I could with my kids, with my wife, did as much as we could. I had to mentally prepare my kids for that. They were still young, a year and 3 years, I think they were at the time. A year and 4 years. But just prepping them for that, I don't think they understand it. They didn't understand what was going to happen, what was coming. But I bought them a couple daddy dolls. I don't even know what that is, but
oh, no idea.
they're little self-image. So you take a picture, you send it to a website, and they make a little doll out of you.
Oh, that's cool.
In uniform, you're in uniform, and you get a little voice recording.
Oh, that's sweet.
Say whatever you want. I love you, son. I love you, daughter. And you put it inside the doll, and they squeeze it, hug it, sleep with it, whatever.
That's sweet.
So I bought them each a daddy doll.
Yeah.
But I don't think it affected them that much just because they were kids and they weren't processing what was going on. They just knew that daddy was away for a while.
Yeah.
My wife, on the other side, she took it pretty hard, being independent in the sense that she had to take care of the kids more by herself than, she had help. She had her parents, my mom, all that. But just running the household, going to work, I think that was pretty rough for her. But we made the best of it, over the deployment. Good thing we had Wi-Fi out there. Shitty service, but still, it was something.
Yeah.
It could have been worse, but being able to talk to the kids while overseas was a big thing for them and for my wife as well. So,
well, I mean, I'd imagine for you too. I mean, you're experiencing this as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, it helped. I coped with it. And it was a good experience. Like I said, I took it under my belt, and there's probably many more deployments to come. Who knows? But at least we know now what the mind frame is and how we prep for it. And the kids will be older, so we'll be able to prepare them for that a little more in the future.
And so, like looking back at that first section of deployment, what would you, if you could go back? Was there any advice you would give yourself to like maybe prep better, do more of this, do less of this? Whether it's like in the military side of it or if it's like in the familial side of it, is there anything you would go back and change, or do you think it was best case scenario?
No, going into it, man, leadership has a lot to do with how you take things in the military. Now, that leadership's going to be either turn you in a good path or a bad path in the military, depending on who it is. So, for me, I didn't have the greatest leadership, so I didn't have the greatest preparation for it. They were just like, here, take this, here, take that, and this is what you're going to do. It wasn't really hands-on or in depth of the explanation of what's going to happen and how we're going to do things. Now, who it was that gave the shitty leadership, chain of command, I don't know who that's going to be up to. But as far as direct leadership, who I was under, it wasn't the best. So I think I just went in head first, took it how I took it, and I just rolled with it. It wasn't a bad deployment at all. Again, the leadership takes toll on your guys, so I try to avoid that as much as I could, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. And I mean, being that you're a part of a National Guard unit, I would imagine that most of the younger guys, of the lower enlisted guys, that's their first time deploying, let alone leaving the country.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big responsibility to take. I mean, leadership, as the higher you go, obviously the responsibility you get, but that's just a whole other added layer.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure how you prepare for that.
Yeah.
On a social level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get through Bliss, you actually get in there, and you said you went to Djibouti, Africa.
Yes.
So what was that? Let's go like for the first 24 hours.
So we get there. We stepped off the fucking plane, dude. It was hot. That humidity just hit you right in the fucking face, man. It was you can't forget it. We got there. I don't know. They voluntold some of us to stay back and unload the plane. So I was one of the guys that got told. So a lot of the guys headed to the Camp Lemonnier, which is a Navy base. I think it's the largest Navy base in the world. Some of the guys that didn't get voluntold to do all that shit just headed straight to the base and got their barracks set and all that shit.
They're fuck this. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, dude. I was like, fuck, dude. So about 20 of us stayed back, unloaded the plane. Sweating balls already, dude. It was hot, man. As soon as we got there, we all carried our bags. We each had like 3 or 4 bags each. Headed to Camp Lemonnier. The locals out there, man. It was weird, man. They don't really speak English out there. But they took us in their little cabs or whatever, vans. I don't know what you want to call them. They're like little cab vans. They shuttled us to Camp Lemonnier. Took another hour to process, man, for in processing. We had to get our keys, where were we going to stay, how the base looked, the layout, everything. They gave us fucking presentations, all this dumb shit, man. I'm like, dude, let's just unpack our bags and go to fucking bed, dude.
Sounds like orientation at college.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so, yeah, that was that. That was about the first 24 hours, and then they wanted us to get up, like, by the time we went to bed, we only got like 2 hours of sleep, dude, because we had to get up and do some dumb shit, man, more dumb shit. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, 2 hours of sleep, why not? And we just basically went through a whole bunch of orientations the first fucking day. That was really it. There was nothing special about it other than getting our barracks, getting the layout, going to see the base, seeing what was where were we going to work out, where were we going to eat, all that shit. So.
And how long do you feel like if it took for you guys from you're in your barracks, you're going through these orientations, these death by PowerPoints, how long do you feel like it took for you guys to get like settled into a routine, settled into like, all right, like, because there's a amount of resistance whenever you're doing anything new, going somewhere new for an extended period of time, the body, the mind naturally resists.
Yeah.
For a very select few people, it doesn't. But for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I don't want to be here. I want to go home. This is bullshit. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
So going halfway across the world to a severely impoverished country, How long do you feel like it took for you guys to get past that initial resistance period into like, all right, this is life. This is what things are going to be like for the next almost a year.
So I would say that happened when we first headed out to Shabelle Airfield, which was our mission specifically. Um, Once we got settled in, I think we stayed a couple nights at Camp Lemonnier, and that was only where we were going to stay for our off days, our rest days. So once the schedule got established of what we were going to do and where we're going to go and how long we're going to be there, that's when the realization hit. Like, oh, okay, we're here in fucking Africa. This is what we're doing. So what our schedule was for us specifically, our squad, our platoon, was that we were gonna head to Shabelle Airfield, which is about a 45-minute drive outside of Camp Lemonnier. And there's no roads out there. It's all fucking dirt and paved fucking roads. It's not. There's no cement, nothing like that.
Right.
So we traveled 45 minutes out of base to Shabelle Airfield, which is a little tiny airfield, about 6 mile radius, I think. And we would stay out there for a period of 10 days for day shifts, and we'd sleep there for 10 days. And then once that 10th day was over, we headed over back to Camp Lemonnier for our 5 rest days. So we get our 5 recoup days, do our laundry, do all this shit. And then for our next 10-day shift, we'd switch to graveyard shifts to Shabelle. And then we do our 10 graveyards at Shabelle, and then we go back to Camp Lemonnier for a reset of 5 days again. That was just the same chain for the whole 9-10 months. Back and forth, back and forth. Shabelle sucked because you didn't have anything over there, man. They had a rec center, but it sucked. The DFAC, you only had like shitty food, man. Camp Lemonnier is where it was at. They had a nice fucking gym. They had a nice cafeteria. The barracks, there was nothing special, but that's what it is. What else? What else was special about that? Yeah, it was just Shabelle sucked, man. And then specifically, we were just guarding towers around it. Nothing special about that. But that was our mission for the whole 9-10 months. It was just going back and forth for the 5 rest days, and then 10 days, and then 5 rest days, 10 graves, back and forth.
And you bring up an interesting detail, but the fact that when you're when you're transporting, there's no roads, there's no pavement, and the level of poverty in a country like that is bananas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What I imagine it's going to be a big thing you pull out of that experience going to a third world country.
Yeah.
Like people complain. Her and I were just having this conversation, I think like 2 nights ago, with people complain and they bitch and they moan and they scream oppression and they scream, "Oh, my life is horrible here in America."
No,
like, don't get me wrong, we're not perfect here. There are groups of people here that have it a lot worse than others, and there's a lot of injustices in this country. I mean, you can't really, argue against that. However, not to be a dick, but I would rather be homeless here than homeless in Africa.
Yeah.
Because especially where you went.
Yeah.
Everyone is homeless there.
Yeah.
Like everyone. I'd imagine except for like the government and then you guys.
Yeah.
Everyone is homeless.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, it's definitely fair to say that. It opened my eyes personally, not to take things for granted, because that, looking at the traveling back and forth from Camp Lemonnier to Shabelle, dude, all the fucking homemade camps that you see is nothing compared to what these guys have. They got fucking tents here and shit. They could get running water. They have cell phones here, for fucking crying out loud. The homeless have cell phones. They can fucking, if you don't have cash on you, they're gonna fucking pull up Cash App on their fucking phone. You know what I mean?
They've done that to me. I've been at a fucking stoplight. I swear to you, I've been at a stoplight. And I was like, no, because I don't carry cash. Like, I legitimately don't carry cash.
Yeah.
Because why would you in Albuquerque? Let's be real.
Yep.
And he was like, no, man, it's cool. I got Cash App. I'm like, you have Cash App, my dude? You need an email for Cash App. You have an email?
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, that just goes to show that, you can't take things for granted. But it was an eye-opener over there, dude. Just seeing all the, it's like you see on TV, man, and all the fucking movies you see. Those kids chasing you for water and shit like that. That's what they were doing out there, man. They're taking showers in fucking rain puddles and shit like that, like dirty ass river water, man. It's an eye opener, dude. And I took pictures, man. And I brought it back to my kids and I said, hey, look how fucking blessed we are. Like, don't take anything for granted here, because given the situation of, people being homeless here, it could be worse. You could be out there, what these guys are. I flipped through the pictures and I said, you could be these guys right here. So don't take shit for granted. Appreciate what you have. Don't ask for extra shit. That's just how it is.
You know, I think about that when I have my like weekly or bi-weekly existential crisis. I think about how weird of a lottery it is to be born in America.
Yeah.
It is so weird. We could have been born at any time,
Yeah.
anywhere, doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have been born into some kind of royalty or some kind of like kingship or whatever in like the dark ages. We could have been in the future with all the Elon Musk chips and the cyborgs, and you know, we could have lived Terminator.
Yeah.
But in the time that we're in, I know, and I forget what I used to know offhand what the like actual statistic was, the one out of however quadrillion it is to be you. But we're here in America.
Yeah.
And we're not in like Djibouti, Africa.
Yeah, dude.
We're not in the impoverished parts of like Venezuela or anything like that. Lord forbid you're a slave in North Korea.
Yeah.
Where there is a legitimate Holocaust going on right now.
Yeah.
That people just aren't really acknowledging.
Yeah.
I just think that's bananas to me.
I've had that epiphany before, man. That's hit me before, man. The same, it hits you more often than me, but yeah, dude, I've thought about that shit, dude, and I'm actually firstborn generation here in the United States, so
okay,
I'm pretty blessed, dude. Like, my parents were both born in Mexico,
okay.
So they came over the border back in the day, and they got their citizenship, and I was actually the first in the family to be born in the States, so I'm pretty grateful for that, man. So to be in the military even surmises what I've already done at this point to get in. Yeah. So, and not only that, but my sister is a Marine. So shout out to my sister Whitney. She's a Marine too. She enlisted a year before I did.
Oh shit.
So for us to be firstborn generation and to join the military as siblings is pretty fucking mind blowing for us. So
no, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're grateful for, being in this time frame, being born in the States, and, having the opportunities that we have to do what we do.
And, and going back to your deployment and your experience, when did that hit you? When it was like, we are in a third world country. Like, this isn't just like a vacation or like a new training scenario. Like, we are in not only a third world country, we're technically in a war zone.
Yeah.
Because I don't. To say you love reading about terrorism is a really weird thing, but like I love reading about like current events and like what's going on and trying to keep up with all that.
Yeah.
And the dudes that were running around there, like they aren't as big and organized as ISIS, but they're no joke either.
Yeah.
So to be in like, when did that hit you? When you're like, I'm in a third world country, I'm in a war zone. This isn't like, oh, I'm driving down Martin Luther King Drive and I can lock my doors. Like, no, this is a legitimate threat.
I think that that had to be our first trip to Shibeli Airfield when we took that first little shuttle to work for a mission. And that was the whole purpose of our mission. Our whole purpose of us going out there was a security mission to defend that air base against this certain terrorist organization that was out there with minimal activity. So we were there to secure that specific airfield. But that realization came when our first shuttle trip to Shibeli Airfield. Looking at the roads, there's no, all the homeless people out there, if you want to call them homeless. I don't know what you would call that. Because everybody's
just severely impoverished.
It's just normal life out there.
Yeah.
But seeing all the kids out there chasing us for water, asking us for food, that first trip, and I think that was about 3 days in landing in Djibouti. I think our third day in, when we headed out to Shibeli, is when I realized it. Like, holy fuck, dude. And not only that, but again, thank God we all got home safe and, nobody got hurt or injured. We always had to keep an eye open because you didn't know who the fuck was going to roll up on you, because we rolled in convoys. And because there's no roads out there, you had the locals out there driving like fucking maniacs, dude. They were driving wherever the hell they wanted. But, you've seen shows and movies, man. You don't know if a terrorist just going to come up and roll up on you with a fucking VBID. Like,
yeah.
You don't know if there's an IED on the fucking road. So that was the only main factor that, of traveling back and forth, that I was like, okay, don't be complacent. Keep your fucking eyes open. Keep your ears sound. Just look out for anything suspicious. But
Did you ever feel that? Because I was about to bring it up, so it's good that you said it about complacency.
yeah,
Did you ever feel that spreading among you guys, spreading among ranks? Did you ever feel like that was becoming an issue, or did it ever become an issue?
definitely.
I'd imagine it's tough not to if you're sitting, because for what you've described,
Yeah,
if you're sitting in guard towers all day
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's low activity,
Yeah, so we
I
had
mean,
12-hour shifts out there
there
during
you
the
go.
mission.
12-hour shifts here are tough.
Yeah, dude, no shit. 12-hour shifts, man, of just guarding towers is a fucking rough one, especially the graveyard parts, because you only get 5 rest days to adjust your schedule to go back to fucking days, and then you come back again and readjust for graves. So it was a rough 10 graveyard shifts, you know. But I would say, yeah, to answer your question, a lot of people did get complacent, man. And I'm not gonna lie. I myself did a few days. You know, there's here and there where, you know, you're gonna let loose a little bit. But for the most part, dude, I stayed on top of my game. I was trying to impress my leadership. Again, that goes back to the leadership of the ones that I had. I wanted to impress them as best as I could. I wanted to show them that I'm not just here for a 4-year fucking contract, and I wanted to maintain that throughout my whole career. So I did what I could. I stayed for extra hours if I had to. I volunteered for extra shit. That's what I had to do. But as far as other people getting complacent, it happened a lot, man. People just didn't give a shit a couple months in, dude.
Yeah.
We had 9, 10 months out there. So that's the slack you got to pick up personally.
Does that ever worry you?
It does, man. It does, and that's we could talk about this later. But again, going back to leadership, man, that's what it all comes down to in the military, dude. And although I'm not in a leadership position myself, I think we all have leaders within ourselves, no matter what position or rank you are.
You guys set an example.
Yeah. So I don't want to, and on the other point, I don't want to be someone who thinks they're all fucking top shit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this specialist. He thinks he's a fucking staff sergeant. I don't want to be that guy either. I don't want to be making demands and shit, but I try to pinpoint hot topics to keep other people from being complacent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, people get complacent out there, but you just got to send them reminders, man. Just like, hey, dude, we got a few months left. Let's just fucking roll through. Let's just roll through this, man. It's rough, but I'm going through it. You're going through it too. So